They said Filipino English sounds funny. Some even mocked it. The way certain words are pronounced, the rhythm, the melody, and the tone. You might have heard the jokes before. Filipino accent, they'd say, laughing at the way Filipinos speak. For years, it was treated like a punchline. But what if I told you that same accent, the one people used to laugh at, is now being praised by artificial intelligence as one of the smartest, clearest, and most adaptable accents in the world? Strange, right? How could something that was once a joke suddenly become the gold standard for AI and global communication? Well, that's exactly what's happening. This story isn't just about pronunciation or grammar. It's about identity, resilience, and how a country once colonized by multiple nations turned language into one of its greatest strengths. Let's go back to where it all began. English arrived in the Philippines more than a century ago, during American colonization in the early 1900s. It was introduced as the language of education, government, and progress. But the Filipino people didn't just copy it, they made it their own. They mixed it with local sounds, with their natural rhythm and warmth, and created something unique, something unmistakably Filipino. But for decades, that uniqueness was misunderstood. Westerners said it sounded strange or off. Hollywood movies rarely featured it unless it was for comic relief. Even some Filipinos grew insecure about it, trying to fix their accent to sound more American or British. Yet despite the mockery, Filipinos kept speaking. They didn't abandon their English. They sharpened it. And as the world changed, something unexpected happened. The global economy shifted. Suddenly, English wasn't just for Americans or the British anymore. It was for everyone. Call centers began popping up all over the Philippines. By the early 2000s, the country became one of the top English-speaking outsourcing hubs in the world. Companies from the United States, Australia, and the UK were hiring Filipinos by the thousands. Why? Because customers actually liked talking to them. Filipinos spoke clearly. Their tone was friendly, polite, and calm. Even when customers were angry, Filipino agents handled them with empathy and patience. The accent that people once laughed at became the voice of some of the world's biggest brands. And here's where things get really interesting. When artificial intelligence started learning how humans speak. AI systems, especially those used in voice recognition and speech synthesis, needed to be trained on different accents. They were fed thousands of hours of audio so they could understand and respond correctly to human voices from around the world. But something surprising showed up in the data. The Filipino accent, the same one mocked for being funny, turned out to be one of the clearest and easiest for AI to understand. Tech companies noticed. Engineers realized that Filipino English had a balanced rhythm, neutral vowel sounds, and smooth pacing. It didn't slur words or drop consonants like some Western accents did. It was consistent, polite, and articulate, perfect for voice-based systems that rely on clarity. In fact, some AI developers began using Filipino voices to test speech recognition accuracy because they were that easy to process. When AI tries to recognize speech from thick American, British, or Australian accents, it can struggle. But with the Filipino accent, almost perfect accuracy. Think about that for a second. The same sound that once triggered laughter from people is now being called one of the smartest accents by the very technology that mimics human intelligence. It's poetic justice. And it tells us something powerful about perception. Because what really changed wasn't just technology. It was the world's idea of who gets to define what good English sounds like. Filipino English is not wrong. It's simply different. And that difference makes it versatile. That's why AI and global companies love it. It bridges the gap between cultures. It's easy on the ears, and it carries warmth, something even machines can't fake. But it didn't happen overnight. It took years of linguistic evolution, practice, and perseverance. Filipinos have a natural talent for adapting sounds. Many grow up exposed to American movies, Korean dramas, British YouTubers, and local TV, a mix of cultures that shapes how they hear and produce speech. That adaptability is exactly what makes them so good at switching tones, accents, and expressions. It's the same skill that powers call centers, virtual assistants, and even international schools. In fact, if you've ever talked to customer support online or over the phone, there's a good chance the helpful, calm voice on the other end was from someone in Manila, Cebu, or Davao, speaking English not with a foreign accent, but with a Filipino heart. But here's a question to think about. Why did we take so long to recognize that brilliance? Why did we let stereotypes decide what intelligence sounds like? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think accents affect how we judge people's intelligence? I'd love to hear what you think. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because stories like this deserve to be heard by more people. Now, let's go deeper. AI developers began noticing another strange pattern. When they tested voice assistants like Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant with Filipino users, they often performed better. Commands were clearer and responses were faster. Engineers started asking why. The reason, it turns out, lies in how Filipinos pronounce words. Unlike many native English speakers, Filipinos tend to enunciate every syllable. There's less mumbling, fewer swallowed sounds, and a smoother rhythm. For example, where an American might say, "What's up?" a Filipino might say, "What's up?" clearly, gently, and with even pacing. AI loves that. The precision of Filipino English makes it easier for voice models to learn and replicate. It's the kind of speech that works across cultures, which is why more tech companies now use Filipino English as a base for their voice training datasets. But the story doesn't stop with technology. It extends to classrooms, offices, and even online spaces. Filipino teachers are now some of the most in-demand English tutors across Asia. Parents in Japan, China, and Korea prefer Filipino teachers because they speak English that's easy to understand, warm, natural, and non-threatening. That's the magic of Filipino English. It doesn't intimidate, it welcomes. And perhaps that's why AI recognizes it as smart. Because intelligence isn't just about sounding polished, it's about communication that connects. When you listen to a Filipino speaking English, you often hear friendliness in the tone, sincerity in the words. It's not robotic, it's human. And that's exactly what AI companies are trying to capture, the human quality in language. Now, imagine this. One day, you might ask your AI assistant a question, and the voice that responds could sound unmistakably Filipino, not by accident, but by design. The accent once mocked could soon be the global voice of artificial intelligence. But how did we get here? How did a country once criticized for its funny English rise to become the linguistic model for global technology? The answer lies in the Filipino spirit, adaptive, empathetic, and endlessly resilient. When call centers began booming in the early 2000s, many Filipinos trained tirelessly to master neutral English. They learned how to adjust tone, manage conversations, and empathize with strangers halfway around the world. That daily exposure to diverse speech patterns sharpened their linguistic reflexes. Soon, Filipinos weren't just following scripts, they were creating the sound of global communication. And now, AI systems are learning from them. It's a story that challenges everything we thought we knew about accents and intelligence. For centuries, people associated good English with whiteness, with Britain, America, or Australia. But now, technology itself, objective, data-driven, unbiased, is revealing that clarity and intelligence don't come from where you were born. They come from how you speak, how you adapt, and how you connect. And that's what makes Filipino English so special. But here's where the story takes a surprising twist. Because while AI praises the Filipino accent, not everyone is celebrating. Some fear that automation could replace the very people who gave these voices life. Could the smartest accent be training machines to replace its own speakers? That question, unsettling as it is, might redefine the future of language, work, and identity. Could the smartest accent be training machines to replace its own speakers? It's an uncomfortable question, but an important one. Filipinos have been at the heart of global communication for decades. Millions have built entire careers in call centers, customer support, and online teaching. Their voices have soothed angry customers, guided lost travelers, and taught children halfway across the world. But now, AI is learning to do those same tasks. Voice bots can mimic accents, detect emotion, and respond in ways that feel almost human. And guess which accent they're learning to imitate first? You guessed it, Filipino English. Because it's clear, adaptable, and warm, AI companies are using it to train their systems. Some customer service bots already sound suspiciously Filipino, polite, friendly, and calm under pressure. It's ironic, isn't it? The same people who made the world fall in love with their voices might be replaced by machines that sound just like them. But here's the thing. Filipinos are not new to reinvention. They've always adapted to change, from colonization to globalization, from rotary phones to chatbots. They've found ways to stay relevant. And this time, they're doing it again. Instead of competing with AI, some Filipinos are now helping build it. Local engineers, linguists, and data annotators are training the very systems that once threatened to replace them. They're teaching machines how to speak naturally, how to pronounce words, how to empathize. In short, they're teaching AI to sound human, teaching it to sound Filipino. And that's the twist no one saw coming. This story isn't about losing to machines, it's about leading them. You see, technology might be powerful, but it still needs the human touch. It needs people who understand emotion, culture, and context, things AI still struggles with. And that's where the Filipino gift for empathy comes in. Because Filipino English isn't just clear, it's kind. It carries a sense of care that no algorithm can replicate. That's why global companies continue to hire Filipino professionals for AI training, content moderation, and linguistic testing. They need human nuance, and nobody delivers that quite like the Philippines. The truth is, the world has underestimated Filipino English for far too long. People laughed because they didn't understand it. They mocked it because it didn't sound like theirs. But now, even machines, which process language without bias, recognize its brilliance. Filipino English is efficient yet emotional, precise yet personal. It's a balance most other accents can't quite achieve. And maybe that's what smart really means. Not sounding elite or foreign, but being understood by everyone. Let's pause here and think about something. When you hear someone speak with an accent, any accent, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? Do you listen to the meaning, or do you judge the sound? Because here's the truth, an accent is not a flaw. It's a story. It tells you where someone comes from, what they've learned, and how they see the world. Filipino English carries stories of migration, colonization, and adaptation. It carries the laughter of classrooms, the hustle of call centers, and the warmth of families spread across the globe. It's more than just a way of speaking. It's a symbol of connection. That's what AI is now learning, that the best communication isn't perfect, it's human. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Today, there are over 100 million Filipinos, and most of them speak English fluently, many switching effortlessly between Tagalog, Bisaya, and English in one conversation. Linguists call it code switching, but Filipinos simply call it natural. That linguistic flexibility is exactly what the future of communication demands. As AI evolves, as borders blur, the world doesn't need one perfect accent. It needs many accents that can connect people, and Filipino English is leading the way. It's funny to think that what started as a colonial import became a global export, from the classroom to the call center, and now to the core of artificial intelligence. That journey tells us something profound. Language isn't just about words. It's about identity, resilience, and adaptation, and no one embodies that better than the Filipino people. Let's look at what makes the Filipino accent so AI-friendly. First, the vowel system. Filipino English uses open, consistent vowel sounds, meaning A, E, I, O, and U are pronounced clearly and evenly. Machines love that because it reduces confusion during voice recognition. Second, sentence rhythm. Filipino English has a steady, musical flow. It doesn't rush or flatten words. This helps AI detect where sentences begin and end. Third, emotional tone. Filipinos naturally speak with warmth and politeness. Even simple phrases like, "Thank you for calling," or "Have a great day" sound sincere, a quality AI struggles to fake but tries to copy. It's no wonder major tech companies like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon have set up operations in the Philippines to tap into that linguistic expertise. They know that behind every good AI voice, there's a human teacher, and many of them are Filipino. But beyond the technical marvels and business trends lies something deeper. This is a story of cultural redemption. For so long, Western voices dominated what good English meant. But now, the digital world, built on inclusivity and accessibility, is rewriting that definition. AI doesn't care if your accent is American, British, or Filipino. It cares if it's clear, expressive, and human. And Filipino English checks all those boxes. It's almost poetic. The accent that once triggered laughter is now being preserved in data, replicated in systems, and celebrated as one of the smartest linguistic patterns on Earth. But let's be honest, this isn't just about technology, it's about pride. Because every time a Filipino teacher explains a lesson online, every time a customer service agent calms a frustrated caller, every time an AI voice sounds a little bit Filipino, that's validation. It's proof that you don't need to sound like someone else to be smart, capable, or respected. You just need to sound like you. And maybe that's the real message here. Language isn't a competition, it's a bridge. And in building that bridge, Filipinos have shown the world that intelligence doesn't have a single accent. It has many, and each one tells a different kind of truth. So the next time someone laughs at how a Filipino says comfort room instead of bathroom, or open the light instead of turn on the light, remember this. Those phrases are echoes of history, creativity, and adaptation. They're not wrong. They're uniquely Filipino. And now, even the most advanced machines on the planet are learning to speak that way. Think about that. A century ago, the Philippines learned English through American textbooks. Today, artificial intelligence is learning English through Filipino voices. History has come full circle. So, what does the future hold? Will Filipino English become the global accent of AI? Possibly. It's already one of the most used in voice datasets across Asia and the Pacific. But beyond that, it represents something bigger. The idea that diversity is strength, and that clarity, kindness, and connection will always rise above prejudice. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes it the smartest accent of all. Before we wrap up, let me ask you this. Do you think AI will one day erase accents, or will it help us preserve them forever? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this story made you see Filipino English differently, if it made you feel a little prouder, or maybe just more curious, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because the next time someone says Filipino English sounds funny, you can tell them this. It's not funny. It's fascinating. It's powerful. And even AI knows. It's the smartest accent in the world.